right, so this is all about hydrocreationism. This is the subject matter. You talk about electrogenetics or bioenergetics, of how we're really put together and brought together as literally digital. That's mathematical. Creator's language is math. Digital, bioholographic. You know biology. Holography. You know what a hologram is. Digital bioholographic. Precipitations. Precipitation. Water. How from a tiny little nidus in the clouds, all of a sudden a drop comes together. Crystallization. You know what crystals are. A miraculous manifestation of divine frequency vibration coming out of water. So that's the definition of who you are. This subject matter is all about hydrocreationism, hydrosonics, musical monoatomics. It's all about the resonant energy signatures in all the minerals. That's how it all really works. It's all about the electrons flowing and spinning and the frequency resonance that's being put off by the energy signatures of the elements and the most important minerals. That's why the mineral trade is so important. You are made of seawater, 80% seawater, and earth, minerals. That's it. It's not about a whole, hocus pocus, hairy fairy specialty fields, in electrogenetics. Let's get down to basics. You put into the Holy Spirit-filled temple the right ingredients, and suddenly, wow, you come back to life. Now, this whole concept, look at the structures. We're now talking about sacred geometry and creativity. Creating you, recreating your patients. It's all about sacred geometry. Look at the hexagons. So the basic core structure, why isn't it carbon-7? Why is carbon-6 the organic chemistry model? Because it's a hexagon. And this whole six-sided shape, sacred geometry, Star of David, you begin to study and you realize, when you remember back histology, Nick told you that I taught dental histology, microanatomy at Tufts for the dental and medical students. There you begin to look under a microscope, you see something very similar. What looks like cell membranes and nuclei, that's not. What you're looking at is not tissue under a microscope, you're looking at water. Soapy water resonated by frequency. So all of the sacred geometry really gives us a firm foundation of what DNA actually is. News flash. News flash. DNA is an antenna to God. News flash. DNA is a Tesla coil. That's what it is. It's a Tesla coil. This concept that the Rockefellers have entrained us, miseducated us into believing, is that DNA is your template for protein synthesis. You know what that function encompasses for DNA? That's about 3% of the function of DNA, is that it serves as a template for protein synthesis, where the amino acid sequences, basically tell what amino acids to be delivered to or the genetic sequences tell the amino acids to be delivered to the ribosome, the protein manufacturing station of the cell, so that the correct proteins are assembled to give new cells new life, recreate cell parts. That's 3% of the function of the Tesla coil. 93% by the Rockefellers is called junk DNA. That's literally what they called it. In other words, the Creator defecated in every cell of your body. Gave you DNA, 93% of it's junk, might as well take it to the dump. Because they don't want you to know that it functions as a photon and phonon, receiver and transmitter. Photon is light, phonon is sound. Tiny, tiny light and sound signals are coming in to the matrix of DNA, which is water. mostly six-sided hexagonal shape structured water. So now you're getting engaged with the most sophisticated work in water science. Ron Sakeley et al., University of California, previously Berkeley, did this study published in 1996 in Science. Now he's at Harvard. Back then in Berkeley days, he did this study on genetic strands. What you're looking at are 4 different genetic strands that are well hydrated. You've heard it said that dehydration is the #1 cause of health problems. Simply give people good quality water and they come back to life. Here's the reason why. You see the strands he measured, actually, Sakeley et al. Measured the electrical potentials of those genetic strands. And if you read them carefully, here you see, for example, it says negative 212 microvolts. Here it says negative 217. That's well-hydrated DNA, full of structured water matrix. In other words, the DNA is swimming like a Tesla coil. In the middle of the DNA swimming and spinning as a Tesla coil, just like everything in the universe is spinning, here you've got water that's in molecular forms of pyramid power. You know what? H2O is a tetrahedron structure. Molecular structure of water is a tetrahedron. What's a tetrahedron? Research Bucky Fuller. The most stable structure in the physical universe is a 4-sided equilateral triangular structure. That's a tetrahedron. The most stable structure in the universe, the Bible actually talks about at the burning bush. When Moses says, "Who should I say is calling?" When I'm going to Pharaoh to say, "Let my people go," who should I say is calling? Creator says, "I am that I am. I'm the Yud He Vav He." That's the tetragrammaton. Some Bibles actually say tetragrammaton, related structurally to the tetrahedron. Water molecular structure. Moses' name means saved by the water. Jesus walked on water. Why? How? Metaphysically. Connected. Jesus said, "I am the living water." That's the potential opportunity that we have now. Jesus said also, "You shall do more than what I have done." How did Yeshua heal? He didn't take credit for it. When he healed people, he said, "It is not me that heals you. It is by your faith and trust that you are healed." Faith and trust in what? In who? Faith and trust in the boss, in the creator, the core creator of the universe. Engaged, communing. The word communion, communication, community, Holy Spirit-filled family, unity. This concept of evolving into our full understanding and appreciation of each other. To have loving open hearts, to be able to divinely commune. All through the water, the living water. And so this is what the concept. Now, Sakeley said, okay, here's what we've got. Let's take as little as 8%. Number 8, remember I said 3, 6, 9s, and 8s? Take as little as 8% of the structured water called clustered water out of the DNA ambient media. And look what happens to the genetic strand. It goes from this perfect spiral, sacred spiral, into this flimsy folding, and look what happens to the potential. Drops dramatically from negative 212 down to negative 12. So the light and sound signals can't get through anymore. Now you have dis-ease, dysfunction, energetic depletion, degeneration, dissonance. You can't hear the harmonics of the kingdom of heaven anymore. So this is what's going on. And that's why when Dr. Emoto came out with this magnificent revelation, he's a hero, a worldwide hero. We're going to, on Sunday, the 21st of June, I pray you'll be with us at least online for the Concert for the Living Water. liveh2o.org. We're going to present Dr. Emoto with a humanitarian award. Dr. Emoto showed us that if you pray over water, it changes structure. In other words, it has intelligence and responsiveness. It has consciousness. Would you expect anything less than what I told you was part of the triune God? So, what does Dr. Emoto tell you that the message from water is all about? Love thyself. That's what Dr. Emoto's book is entitled. So, now all of this has been in relation to love. 528 hertz frequency. The resonance of the musical mouth, the core, central, miracle tone that resonates everything perfectly in harmony. Now, that's the do, re, mi, or ut, re, mi. Now it's fa. Family torum in Latin. The family in English. The fourth note of the original musical scale is the legally appointed family. The number of members in a group required to transact business to carry out the activity legally, or a particularly chosen group. In the concert for the living water, it's 144,000 to fulfill Revelation 14:1. It's 144,000. 1 plus 4 plus 4 is 9, I said, completion. That's the required group to transact the business of bringing back this planet spiritually, back to divinity, to have the maximal blessing for humanity. And what are we going to be doing? Ut, re, mi, fa, sol. Solve pollute in Latin. Solve the pollution, or solve the problem in English. To solve a mystery or puzzle. To clear it up or work it out, the answer, solution. Now look at this. Even Webster's dictionary tells you it's a mathematical problem. And it also says a cleansing with water, such as a baptism, a religious ritual. That's ut, re, mi, fa, sol, and the last note, la, pertaining to what I told you about the creative instruments that you have, pertaining to the lips. It's also, interestingly enough in Webster's, a reverse movement. We're going to go backwards because I don't know about you, but progress, forward progress in the 21st century ain't going too good. So we got to go backwards. We got to recover the ancient mystery school stuff, the way that the basic values of understanding how we are engaged in communion and community with not just other human beings, all of nature. You know that when you go swimming with the dolphins, that's a model for modern healthcare. Out of simple love and curiosity, a dolphin, when you get into the water, or you bring an autistic child into the water, the dolphins will come around, they'll swim around, and they'll sonically diagnose. They'll scan you sonically. They'll do an ultrasound of you. And the sonar will feed back, and they'll register in those magnificent brains of theirs exactly what your pathology is. And then they'll instantaneously, just like some of the good advanced technologies that we are playing with, beginning to understand today, they will sonically heal you. So this is pertaining to the frequency, vibration, and movement back towards reverse direction, towards extreme political conservatism. And that does not mean join the Republican Party. I don't know about you, but matter and energy equals MC squared, can't destroy, right? Create or destroy, right? It's in balance. Equation is balanced. Conservation of matter and energy. There's nothing more conservative than our Creator. And it's a desire to return to an earlier system or order. So we're going to have a new world order, but it ain't going to be run by corporate fascists that conduct genocide under the guise of public health. It's a spiritual renaissance that we're here celebrating today. And get this, It's an instantaneous response of a system to an applied force. So that's why I say, when we sing together, by the grace of the Creator, on that chant in 528, with 144,000 other voices around the planet who are online for the first time in history, having the interactive media capabilities, we're going to create, right now it's online at liveH2O.org, all of the methods and materials that we can literally join each other worldwide in a global chant that can all then be directed, electromagnetic direction broadcast, the combined signal of all those voices sent to all the venues. We already have 25. We haven't even started to market it yet. Everybody gets it. It's an awesome idea. The concept is that at 9 main venues and probably hundreds of smaller venues around the world, if we simply empower people with the technology that's available, including broadcasting 9 live venues with the most conscious musicians who have retuned their instruments to 528 Love, and we join them vocally, and then suddenly now we're being led by some of the world's religious and spiritual leaders on Sunday the 21st. The combined signal goes out to all the venues, then all those people sing, then all that signal gets sent into the water, the oceans, the rivers, the streams, the lakes. And so the major superconductor on the planet, the living water, starts to resonate with the human heartfelt loving intention to produce lasting peace, world health, universal prosperity. In essence, what I'm prescribing is a marriage. The Christian community knows about it. It's the wedding, the long-awaited wedding that is for the Messianic age, 1,000 years of world peace. A marriage between human hearts. We're going to marry human hearts with heartfelt loving intent to the universal solvent, salve pollute, the water, using the universal language, music, to produce the universal healer, love. So it's already scheduled. We need all of your support. At minimum, just prayers. And ideally, you'll create venues of your own, in your own communities. And it doesn't have to be a grand thing. It's not my thing, it's not your thing, it's the Creator's thing. But it is grand by its inception. For you, if you don't want to take responsibility for getting 100,000 people in Chicago, you can get maybe 5 or 10 people and sit around at your lake or stream and join us. That's the way it is. It's going to be. It's going to be June, the summer solstice, this summer solstice, June 19th to the 21st.
My birthday.
Yeah. My birthday, too. Okay, so that's the concept for the living water, the concept. Go online to liveH2O.org, spread it around. In essence, what we're going to produce together is all of the oceans that are already resonating in love. We're going to marry the human hearts, and we're going to resonate it and create a love potion, a love homeopathic. Now, you know the concept of resonance, and you've probably heard of the concept of entrainment. Like you take entrainment, you take a new dormitory, freshman dorm, with a bunch of women, and you put them all in, and suddenly after 2 months you come back and all their menstrual cycles are entrained. You know the effects of the moon and the spheres on the tides. That's a part of this energy of entrainment. The larger force entrains the smaller forces. Now, if the larger oceans and rivers and streams all over this planet are now vibrating, resonating with love, what's going to happen to your body water? Every single human being, every single species is going to be touched. Now, those of you who prepare will have fun. Those of you who have closed hearts, blocked energy, suppressed spirituality, are not going to have fun. You'll be in dissonance instead of harmony. and the harmonies sourcing from the master conductor, master composer of the Universal Orchestra that's singing love songs, uplifting everything simultaneously. The power of the Creator and the way the matrix administers this magic is beyond our comprehension. And so you can either go with the flow or you can go to your early grave. It's your choice. That's what's called karma or judgment. It's Judgment Day. It's all based on the understanding of what's taking place cosmologically, mathematically, sacred geometrically. Mathematically is the matrix technology of administering divinity to bless the physical reality. So Rodin presents his sophisticated mathematical analysis based, again, on simple mathematic patterns. And this is what he shared. This is one of his master matrices. Do you see numbers that repeat in that matrix that are familiar to you? 396, 528, 639, 741, 852. That's a Rodin matrix. He didn't know Horowitz. He didn't read Healing Codes for the Biological Apocalypse. He created that matrix and then presented the mathematical world with the structure of our universe. Here's the toroid structure that he advanced. And more recently, if you go to the journal Hydrosonics online at hydrosonics.org, and even more instructive, read Victor Showell, mathematical genius, 9 thesis presentation, 9 papers, showing you that pi and phi, the major constants in physics and mathematics that dictate nature's physicality, is all based around these numbers: 396, 417, 528, 639, 741, In fact, his work is so incredible that he tells the entire world, guess what, folks? Your concept of irrational numbers, that pi and phi being irrational numbers, if you simply add the correct numbers, the number of the matrix, and do the analysis correctly, it becomes rational. That means after the decimal point, it repeats to infinity, the same pattern. Would you expect anything else from the Creator? You think it's irrational, illogical, or doesn't follow some sort of a law? So this is now Nassim Haramein, who is a brilliant genius. He's the most advanced metaphysical physicist in the world today. I was at the lecture where Rodin presented his single toroid, his little single toroid, and Nassim Haramein stood up at the end of his presentation. He said, "Marco, I appreciate what you've done. It's beautiful work, brilliant work, but you're wrong. It's not a single toroid. It's a double toroid. The universe is a double toroid." He says, "You forgot polarity." This is a guy who took Einstein's field equations and factored in torque, spin, velocity, and came up with this structure of the universe, which really solves a lot of our questions as to how come me? Why is stuff happening to me? How come I got into this marriage? Or how come I'm having this trouble with my boss? Or what's going on? How come I'm choosing consistently to be impoverished instead of fully blessed? Well, gee whiz, you know what this shows you? Here's the model. What goes around comes around. That's what this goes. On the internet, Nassim Haramein actually has this showing you the movement, the motion. Let's assume now that you are here in the universe. Let's say you're right here. And by the way, Nassim Haramein says that at 2012, we will be about right here in the universe. You ever notice when water comes downstream and then just goes right over the edge of a waterfall, goes whoosh, changes its state, goes from solid into, like gaseous, and then gets down there and then takes on a whole new form. That's what Haramein is predicting. that we are currently right about here. This is what he calls the event horizon. The Mayan calendar ends 2012, and he predicts that what that means is that we're going to shoot through what's called the black hole. This is the singularity of the universe. And at the end, it's in a blink of an eye, just like that definition I showed you of Fasola, instantaneous response of a system to an applied force. Then down here, the polarity shifts. You've heard the concept of the meek shall inherit the earth. The loving shall inherit the earth. The wealth of the wicked is stored up for the meek. Believe me, when you see the opportunity that I'm looking at, fully grasp it. You'll see that we stand like Bill Gates did 30 years ago when he walked into his garage with Jobs, right? And he says, hey, I've got exclusive information to revolutionize two industries, computer science and communications. What I'm sharing with you today, if you're tuned in, you'll understand the core creative frequencies give you the opportunity to recreate everything, because everything's creation. Everything's based on the musical mathematics of creation. These are the core creative frequencies that you're getting here today. So guess what? We get a chance to recreate everything. Everything's going to get recreated, from the music industry to healthcare, health science. You're not going to suppress this stuff. This is going to, evolution, revolution, revolution, circular. This is the perfect circle of sound. We're revolving back into the ancient understandings. So now let's say you think negatively. You heard what goes around comes around. As you sow, so shall you reap. How does that work? How does the Creator's judgment work? Well, here's how it works. You're in an electromagnetic universe. Your thoughts carry energy, charge, potential. You get what you resist, and you attract what you really need to grow spiritually and evolve if you're paying attention. So essentially, let's say you put out a negative thought here. It goes out, drops down, spins. In the torque, spin, and velocity, it adds that resonance attractive energy. And that's why you've witnessed in your own lives, where if you don't learn a lesson the first time, it comes at you again. And the second time, it's more intense. And if you don't learn it the second time, the third time, man, you get whacked. And if you don't learn it after that, you get whacked so hard, you leave the face of the planet. It's called death. So this is what's also the concept of paying it forward. We're engaged as powerful co-creators in a miraculous, perfect system. And so as you sow, so shall you reap. Giving is receiving. Giving's receiving. Now you begin to understand the mathematical laws of the ancient Levitical priesthood and tithing. And by the way, it shouldn't be a tenth. I think that's a manipulation, quite honestly. If 9 is completion, it should be a ninth, 9%. But the main thing is your heart's got to register that loving giving. It's got to be engaged in a system of prosperity. Money, the currency. Current now. Sea, currency. The ocean of prosperity is available right here, right now. That's what Yeshua was saying. That's what Jesus said. Men live by more than bread alone. You want to feed the world? Where's your faith and trust? I can turn a couple grains into 5,000 loaves of bread and feed everybody. I know this may be hard for some of you to get, but I'm telling you the math and the physics and the science that now proves, it said in the end times, the prophecy is all the greatest truths shall be told. So if you're listening at home, on this DVD or in this audience, and you just don't get it, pray on it. Let the revelations come to you, because if your heart is truly engaged in administering the greatest blessing, you'll get it. Because that's just the time that we're living in now. That's the calling that we have been engaged in now. So, What a blessing this is. You look at the science of Hartmut Müller, Russia's top space-time physicist, you get more revelation. Here he takes what he calls the standing gravitational wave of the universe, and he shows you how as above, so below. As it is in the macroscopic realm of cosmology, here you have the microscopic realm of genetics and electrogenetics and frequency dynamics, the musical monoatomics of divinity expressing itself in physicality and humanity. Here it is. He says, there are nodes. There are certain nodes, points within the waves, that physical precipitation, miraculous manifestation occurs. He calls it the N6. Well, oh man, isn't that wild? That's what the Bible says. In 6 days, the Creator creates. Müller says, in 6 nodes, everything's created. It's related. So just for the fun of it, because I knew there were 6 notes of the original musical scale, the solfeggio, I said, well, let's see what happens. I'll put the 396 here, 417, 528, in the 6 frequency wave pattern here. And holy smoke, that's very curious. Look what happens. At the middle of the wave, you've got 528 and 639. Miracle family. The miracle family is at the heart of the universe. And what numbers are they? 528 is a 6, 639 is a 9. Bring them up together. Oh boy, there's the Pepsi logo. What up? Yeah. And yin-yang symbol, which you pull them together tighter, you got an 8, the infinity sign. And also you drop this on top of that, you got the eye of the hurricane symbol. It also helps us deal with this concept of the Holy Grail. This is the chalice. This is the phallus of creation. Now notice when we took Rodin's math, that center triangle was not there. This 3, 6s, and 9s are outside of the math of Rodin's basic fundamental signature of God. What happened to the 3, 6s, and 9s? That's the portal to the spiritual domain, out of which physical reality manifests. Now check this out. Each segment of your DNA, this is from Sakely's paper. This is a genetic strand. Look at what the repeating structure is. The sacred geometry of the Tesla coil is Rodin's double wing pattern. Now you know how come DNA spins. What the energetics of it is the music. Only 9 simple notes. That's it. It's not complex. If you were God, would you make things simple or hard? Simple. It's simple. So this concept of you connecting optimally with divinity is very right here, right now. It's very certain. It's math-based. It's science-based. The physicists know about it. Unfortunately, the pseudoscientists who are manipulating everything for profit, the prostitutes, for the drug industrialists, you know, their days are numbered. Days are numbered. They're on their way out. And they could either get it, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Or they could just, unfortunately, end up victims of their own choice to be in dissonance rather than accord and harmony. This is the Gematria. Talks about the power of water and the beginning again. This is the symbol for the Aleph. In the beginning, there was the Aleph, the first letter of the Gematria in Hebrew. Gematria is an analysis of the mathematics and the fundamental understanding of the script itself. Each letter has its own unique math, has its own unique symbolism. So it's a water wave above, a water wave below, divided by a straight line, the vav. And this is a symbol of, in the beginning, you divide the water from the water, and you get the shortest distance between 2 points, the Creator and you. This is the Hebrew alphabet. You notice that the Lamed is at the center of the Hebrew alphabet. It's number 11. By the way, the differential between most of the solfeggio notes is 111. Raise your hand in this room if you've been getting signals from your digital clocks that say 1-1, 11-11. Raise your hands high. Let's see you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and me is 8, 9. Because I'm telling you, the Creator's coming for us. Creator's communicating with us. Creator's saying it's all one. It's all together. It's a symbol. And it's no different from the native North Americans who, when they walked this planet in divine love with the Aina, with the earth, because they were engaged in something bigger than their egos. They revered the sacred ground and nature, and they took their names from the animals, the wolves and the deer and the horses that manifested at the time of birth or at the time they were to be given names. The fact is that they were communing with nature. Great way to learn that is go into the water in the Caribbean or Hawaii with a snorkel and mask. Go in with a loving heart. Go in with realizing that you're connected divinely to the beings that are in there, whether they're small fish or the dolphins and whales. And go in there with a different attitude just to experiment and see the difference in the behavior of those animals. So in the days of old, just like the Indian lore, the folklore, we call them savages. Who are the savages? Propagandists who administered the genocide against the native people, who were in balance, in harmony. The concept of owning the sacred earth was absurd. In Hawaii, they call us howlies. Howlies. It's like a nigger, a white nigger, a howlie. You know what it means? Breathless one. They don't carry the Spirit of God in them because they want to come and own our Aina, manipulate our people. In Hawaii today, you walk around and with bare feet and you go, ow, ow. You run into all these thorny little vines that were planted there by the missionaries to get the native people to walk with shoes on instead of barefoot. Take the sacred connection from the Aina, from the ground that's going up the root chakra, going right up to the kingdom of heaven. Cut that connection. That's how absurd. Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do on a great level. The missionaries of old and our current geopolitical enslavers. So, at the center of the heart of the sacred Hebrew language is the Lamed. So what are we talking about here? Aloha. The Aleph in the beginning. There was a creator who created everything by dividing the waters. The La, Lamed, the love. With love we were created. In what? The Ha, the breath. Yod-He, Vav-He, interestingly enough. Yahovah, backwards, flip it. Shht. Havayi, which in Hebrew means Isle of Eve, paradise, in the middle of the water. So all of these revelations now that we're advancing to the full measure of understanding that this powerful love in our hearts has this creative potential. Now you understand the most powerful and important thing that you can do every time you do anything. in your practice. Whether it's an no, you're not doing amalgams. Whether it's a posterior composite or crown and bridges or any technology that you're advancing and developing, you got to add this thing that's the most creative power in the universe, your heartfelt, loving intention to produce a miracle. Here are the colors. Much more to be studied in this whole area. Every frequency has its own color. Every chakra has its own color. The heart chakra, the greenish area, greenish yellow, actually the 528 resonates between this section of the heart and the solar plexus chakra here. But in essence, it is the center of this whole singularity, this whole spinning vortex of creating reality. The concepts I would highly encourage you to review is this water gateway called the aquaporin. Understanding how water gets into your cells, actually literally gets into your cells through an electromagnetic process. All of this that's going on from the electrogenetics to the cell physiology. And I would highly recommend the book DNA Pirates of the Sacred Spiral, because you get a slam dunk on the science that proves beyond any reasonable doubt that you're a spiritual being first, that is electromagnetic being first, and how everything is operating, including the way that water gets in via the aquaporin using polarity, positive and negative charges. There's a bottle of water that I would recommend just that you should try just for the fun of it. Order a bottle. It's probably one of the most expensive waters you'll ever buy. It's $20 for a liter. But when you touch this water, you hold one side with your hand like this, and we did this. If you want to watch it online, the American Academy for Anti-Aging Medicine had me last month or December in Las Vegas. We have that whole presentation online right now in Google Video. And you'll watch a dozen doctors that we brought up on stage. One held this bottle, the other at the other end, they hold hands in a circle. We prayed for healing to occur in front of about 500 MDs and naturopathic doctors. And the last one in line touched the water, and a spark went through all of them. Not just once, but virtually every time you touch that water. Now that flies in the face of what we learned when? In high school, in chemistry. We were told that water can't hold a charge. Wrong. God can hold anything. The living water can do anything. And so, Love 528 frequency now is what we highly recommend you use in your homeopathics. And if you're wise, you can use some simple things such as the tuning fork to produce it. You don't have to buy expensive products and machines to do things that your own heartfelt, loving intention can create. You've got to just give yourself the credit for who you are. Powerful co-creators. Look at this, 396-639-963, the harmonic triad in music, the musical triad in this area of the perfect circle of sound yields the don't go there symbol. That's the portal to the spiritual domain. That's why they say caution. Of course, now you know in the spinning spiral, this is actually a slice through the center of a DNA strand, and this is the sacred geometry of the harmonics that you get when the spinning spiral of DNA. Look at the Star of David. The harmonics create the sacred geometry resonance of DNA. Here is the sun symbol, the ancient sun symbol. Now you know where that came from, revered by all the native people. Get yourself Holy Harmony CD. Jonathan Goldman, who's the world's leading sound healing expert, took the perfect circle of sound, went into a recording studio, and then recorded the most powerful healing CD on the planet. Send your patients to bed. Tell them to pray for the miraculous healing that they need administered, and let them listen to the perfect circle of sound chanted in holy harmony. By the way, that's the number one. It became and is the number one best-selling CD in the New Age audio industry. Here is Dr. Emoto's crystallography of the Holy Harmony CD. We're now advancing tetrahedron records with Scott Huckabee who is kind of like just a guitar alchemist beyond. He's like the lead guitarist for the spiritual renaissance. He's caught on and loves the frequencies. The concept of using the water resonator to resonate your waters, the sacred symbol and the energy. If you go to an amazing www.poolofpossibilities.com and see what happened when Canada's leading artist, metaphysician, artist, photographer put the perfect circle of sound, what I call the 3E, the evolutionary energy enhancer, or now we call it the water resonator, on the side of a swimming pool, and see what miraculous things that happened in his own pool. Unbelievable. This is a photographer who went around the world as his life mission to capture the most magnificent scenes on planet Earth. Wrote an award-winning book called The Sacred Earth. And then goes to his backyard, to his swimming pool, puts a water resonator on the side of his 70,000-gallon swimming pool, comes back 3 weeks later, and all of his friends are saying, "What did you do to this pool? The water feels completely different." And it started to look different. He started to take pictures of it. 45,000 pictures later. His thesis is you don't need to go around the world. All you need to do is look at the beauty and the magnificence in your own backyard. Here are all the water pictures, and they will be featured during Live H2O. Dr. Emoto took one of those. He brought it back to his lab. For 24 hours, he resonated water, and look at what you see. A little gnome-like water crystal, praying for humanity, probably. The breath of the earth, the lava-heated steam. This is Dr. Emoto at our place in Hawaii. The lava-heated steam that you see, if Dr. Emoto looked that way, he would see the steam vents issuing the breath of the earth. So he took that water back to Japan. The Hawaiian kahunas, the kahuna, the kohenim, the ancient Levitical priesthood teachers. That's the ancient Hawaiian holy persons, called kahunas. They come from the kohenim, the Levitical priesthood. Their theology has held the prophecy that the rebirth of planet Earth will come through an umbilical cord from the top of Mauna Kea, the tallest mountain on the face of the planet, through an umbilical cord, from the universe to rebirth everything. Now, when you see this water crystal, message in water from Dr. Emoto's having taken this steam, what do you see there? Anyone?
6 points.
Yeah, you see a 6-point star, but an embryo. Who sees the embryo? Does that look like an ultrasound of the embryo? It looks identical to an ultrasound of an embryo of a fetus. Here's the umbilical cord to the navel. Here's the head. Here's the body. Here's the feet. And this is not unique. We've published a whole series of slides that he presented. It's all about rebirth. You see a fallopian tube with an egg implanted in the uterine wall. You see the yin-yang symbol within the fallopian tube. You see just an amazing series of films that all talk about rebirthing this planet. Everything is possible. We don't need anything. We don't need the pharmaceutical companies anymore. We don't need the petrochemical industrialists. Live H2O is going to feature how water, the hydrogen fuel, can run all of our machines without pollution. We don't need the antibiotics and mercury-laced vaccines to cure infectious diseases. Oxysilver, silver hydrosol, the most advanced silver hydrosol suppressed, was developed by NASA scientists to keep the astronauts healthy in space and purify the water in space that they have to reuse. Everything is reused in space, including their own urine. Imagine then taking that, which cures all infectious diseases on this planet. Every single infectious disease cannot stand, because what they did is they covalently bonded through a special reactor, non-nuclear reactor, sound and light signals and lasers is what causes a bonding between the silver, which is a superconductor of energy, and the oxygen. You know ozone oxygenation therapies, right? How powerful that is for healing. Why? Because it's the the breath, the energy carrier of divinity. That's why. The reality, though, is you take that new molecule with a nano-sized silver particle and you add love, 528 hertz frequency. So you've got oxygenation therapy, you've got antimicrobial capacity, and you've got a constitutional remedy of love. That's what oxysilver is. We've been so blessed, we sent 800 bottles as a donation over to Africa. And you can go online and see all the thanks, the letters, and the people that it saved. Simple, it's water. It's virtually mineral water. And the greatest news is that the FDA can't regulate it. It's not a food. It's not a drug. That's what they're doing now. But go to nanoscam.com. I've exposed the whole thing. Nanoscam.com. See, because they can't regulate it, now what they're doing, propaganda. They're claiming that this is a pesticide. That's right. Because it kills germs, it's a pesticide now. So here's the last of it. The Ark, the triumph. The triumph of the Ark. You know, we did an analysis of the Sakaro, the pyramids, and the sacred geometry and the mathematics and the harmonics of, this was Vic Showell's work. You can read it online for free. The 9 papers are at love528.com. Click on pi, phi, and 528, and you'll see the truth of how pi and phi are mathematical constants that are rational numbers, not irrational numbers. And then you'll see later on we have the Sakaro arc. Now, architecture. The word arch and arc stem from the same root. This concept of the ark, of the covenant, was something of interest to me. You can go to healthyworldsolutions.com. Healthyworldsolutions.com, where I engage probably the world's most controversial matters and present my concept of what the solutions are for our ailing planet. Healthyworldsolutions.com. One of the articles on there is the, I think it's 528 in the Ark of the Covenant. This concept of the Ark of the Covenant, what is this? Well, when you do the mathematical analysis on the perfect circle of sound, let's say this portion here is, or even here, is an arc. And so it's part of a circle. And you guys know what Noah's Ark was all about. It floated in water to save humanity and all the species that were chosen to be saved. And more recently, someone arrived at our place in Hawaii and played a drum called Grandmother Drum. And when she played that, I can't even tell you. Words cannot share with you the power in this particular drum that is 7 foot wide and was constructed over 13 months by natives of Alaska who allegedly were channeling the elders, the elder grandmothers. That's why they call this Grandmother Drum, because they felt that it was important for a world peace mission. Now recently, the History Channel played this history of the Ark of the Covenant. And they took you to the Ethiopian Jews and later to the University of London's Professor Tudor Parfit, who interviewed in his search for the real Ark of the Covenant the Lemba priests who had the responsibility of being guardians for the Ngoma Lagundu, a sacred but unassuming wooden drum, they say, came from the great Temple of Jerusalem that was the Ark of the Covenant. Now, I'm going to leave you with this because my time is out. Grandmother Drum is going to start the drumming in Israel at the Great Wall. Also, I understand we're going to have a synchronous drum playing at Cairo during the concert. I'm going to invite you to join this experiment because what we're looking at right now, that drum we measured the other day, is a 528 signal. The core energy coming out of it is a 528. Online Temple right now at liveh2o.org, this concert site, has a temple donated by Jonathan Goldman where there's right now probably about 300 or 400 people chanting. The like we did here in the room today, in 528. But he didn't give them a tuning fork like he gave you. He simply asked them to chant with love. And when you now play that tuning fork to the chant that's now naturally coming out of those human voices online right now, it's 528. So, in essence, this Ark of the Covenant, what is it? The archery, the most stable form of holding up architecture, physical reality. This concept of floating humanity for salvation, physical and spiritual evolution. This concept of putting the energy of love of humanity's heartbeat, marrying into the living water. Ultimately, carrying this blessing for what purpose? Salve Pollute, sure. But the biggest purpose of all is the covenant itself. Covenant means contract. The contract between divinity and humanity that's always been there from the beginning. The contract says, I'm coming. I'm going to be there. And that's what this is. It's a revelation and recognition and actualization of the fruitful outcome of us marrying our hearts in faith, full faith and trust to this glorious Creator, and the Creator is here right now. Thank you so much.